today is let's talk a little bit about the police award ceremony. It's that time of the year again. And
Yes.
this is where you come to the ceremony and you hang out until it's your turn, then you sneak out the back door. I've seen you do that twice.
Well, yes, and that's right, because you know that typically this is basically a marathon.
It is. There are lots of people to be honored.
Yes,
And you have to be patient.
and my ADD kicks in periodically, and I've been forgotten a time or two.
I was on stage when that happened.
Yeah.
Okay, it was like maybe our first or second one.
Yeah.
And I was appalled, but I did get the word. So we got to, which it's you don't want to be forgotten because talk a little bit about the award ceremony. You remember how this started? It seems Chief Beatty started this how many years ago?
Maybe 5 or 6.
And I think our Citizens Police Academy helped sponsor this, and there are donors that are involved, and they were trying to come up with a way to honor police officers who go above and beyond. These are officers that become heroes at the most unlikely times, or just through their initiative and hard work make a significant difference in the community. You can't honor every police officer, obviously. That would go on forever, but they have a committee that chooses those that would receive these honors.
And over the years, the first one lasted, I guess, approaching 5 hours. And after it was all over, then Chief Anthony Beatty came up to me and said, "Well, how did you think it went?" I said, "Great. I thought it was just great."
But you couldn't stop there.
I said, "That's exactly right." I said, "But I need to tell you, Chief, that if the New York Marathon had started at the same time of this award ceremony, all of the runners in the New York Marathon would have finished almost an hour ago." And he said, does that mean too long? I said, "Oh yeah, way too long." And so, that was, we may have had people that have died in the back of the room and we didn't know it. So
they got the point, and they basically told me to read a little faster.
well, they probably could cut down on the amount that you and Karen Czar was there for a number of years as a reader. They think because you're on the radio that you can can pronounce words.
I let her
and
do
guess
the
what?
big words. I just mark out the big ones and pass them on to Karen. But it really is an excellent program.
Another one. I've slithered out from under my rock and insisted on participating. Our office recognizes the outstanding detectives, and
Now, why detectives?
well, that's who we. First of all, most of the people that are recognized in this ceremony are patrol officers for the most part. And we deal a lot with patrol, but we deal a lot with detectives.
Well, patrol officers are the ones most likely to become instant heroes, like it or not, because in their day-to-day work, they don't really have time to pick and choose their battles. They're thrown into battle. And these men and women are the ones that are on the front line. I was a detective, that's why I can say this, for half my career. We detectives get to come in when the dust settles, in most cases, and then slow things down a little bit. So it's really a much more difficult job when you're the first one there, and you've got to make decisions that are going to make life and death decisions, and the decisions on cases that can make or break a case. But anyway, going back. So
back to me.
Back to you. So you focus more on the detectives. Your office works more long-term with detectives.
Right.
Than you would the patrol officers.
And so what we do is we recognize them, and they invite me up at some point in the event, typically near the end, and so that's what we do. Now this year is really interesting. Mark Barnard is the new police chief, and Mark is really he's really he emphasizes victim issues and is real cognizant of the issues that victims have with the criminal justice system and so forth. And so the speaker this year is going to be Mike DeGiro.
Really?
Yeah. Now you tell us about Mike DeGiro.
Mike DeGiro is the father of Trent DeGiro, who was murdered by Shane Ragland.
Assassinated is a better word.
Sniped by Shane Ragland while Trent sat on his porch celebrating his 21st birthday. We've all heard of this case. Ultimately Shane Ragland admitted that he killed Trent DeGiro. And now he's walking the streets. Well, he's not walking anymore because
he's rolling around in a wheelchair because he's a paraplegic as a result of a crash he was involved in Jefferson County
after they let him out of prison. So
right.
Anyway, and Mike DeGiro is, I would describe him as, he's just a class act. He's a classy guy. He and Ann both are.
Ann is Trent DeGiro's mom.
I mean, from my first contact with Mike DeGiro, right after his son was murdered, and throughout the years where the murder of his son was not resolved, he was nothing but steadfast, supportive, focused, and just a gentleman. I often wondered
how do you do it?
I couldn't do it. There's no way that I could. And loved his son so much. This family was so close, so proud of their son, and just kept it. And he's kept his composure throughout this whole thing. I mean, what a classy guy. Anyway, I'm very glad to hear that Mike will be speaking.
Well, he's going to be the speaker, and and what I've decided to do is to feature a lot of the police officers and firefighters who have been shot in the line of duty. For example, you got Tim Russell. Tim Russell was a patrol officer and he was dispatched to a domestic violence call. And he went out to this domestic violence call, and by the time this all concluded, he had been shot in the neck. And he talks like this now, and he had to retire on a disability, but he came back as a civilian employee in the Forensic Services Unit. Those are the CSI guys for the Lexington Police Department. And I want him and his wife to be there as the guest of the Commonwealth Attorney. Ed Lingenfelter. Remember Ed Lingenfelter?
I remember Ed.
Ed made a traffic stop. He was a patrol officer. He made a traffic stop, and some jerk came up on the scene and shot him. And he got shot at least 2 times. And he suffered some very serious injuries to his face and his, I think his right arm.
Yes. In fact, his right arm was injured to a point that he no longer could use it to fire his weapon. And when he came back after months of recovery and started carrying his weapon left-handed.
Oh yeah, yes, he learned how to write left-handed.
Because he couldn't function
right.
well enough to pull the trigger with his
well,
right.
and he subsequently had to retire on a disability. And Aaron Kidd. Aaron Kidd is a tough guy with the police department, and he got shot in the face. Fortunately, he turned his head, and it didn't, it came out the side of his cheek. But he was shot in the line of duty. Now, his injury wasn't so catastrophic that he had to retire, and he continues to work with the Lexington Division of Police. And I want him and his wife to be there. James Sanders is a firefighter who was shot by Patrick Hutchinson along with Brenda Cowan. Remember, Lieutenant Brenda Cowan was shot and killed. And so I want him there. And I want, and of course, I'm going to ask that there be some family members of other homicide victims to join us, because it's important, number one, that we recognize that this police officers getting injured in the line of duty is a reality. And as a result, we're gonna recognize them. And Mike DeGiro is a great speaker to emphasize the plight of victims.
They won't even look you. They'll look the other way and blow it off like you're a madman for even bringing that up. I mean, that's the look. I've had this discussion with people before. And the only time that someone will change their mind on that is when they are victimized.
Right. Or somebody in their family.
Now, of course, occasionally somebody will become victimized, and they'll just up the game and say, "Well, I'm a victim, but I still want the person out." Those are the ones that get the most attention in the press.
Sure.
Those are far and few between, because most of the people who become victimized, they see the light. But those are ignored. You know, it's just about the victims, and that's what you deal with on a daily basis. And Mark, you're talking about the new chief. Mark was an investigator, and really one of the differences, if you're assigned as an investigator on the case, then you keep that case with you for life, because it is for life for you too. Because these cases become appealed, you may have to come back. That's why you get a little closer to the victims, because you're their contact. You know, as the officer, you're their contact throughout the years. You know, I still will talk to Mike DeGiro on occasion, and I'm retired, and that case has been adjudicated, I guess. But you know, you never forget.
You know, it's interesting. Allison Beck and I were responsible for creating the Public Safety Day for a group called Leadership Lexington. That was a group of about 50 young professionals in our community, and on the day on Public Safety Day, we start at the juvenile detention facility out on Spur Road, and then we go to the adult detention facility, and then we come to the police department, and they go around and tour the police department. They have all of the special the canine unit, and they have the horses, and they have everything there so that the people, these 50 people, can see something about the operation of the police department. And we were eating lunch there, and a fellow came up and said that he lived either two doors down or next door at the time to where Trent DeGiro was killed. I said, "No kidding." And he said, "Yeah." And he said he knew Amy.
Our witness.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Amy was the former girlfriend of Shane Ragland, and you were able to
Coordinate.
coordinate her testimony.
Amy does what she wants to do, and she did the right thing. But yeah, we were able to work that out where she was terrified, where she would actually.
But for good reason.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, but it was very. I'm gonna find him, and maybe interview him for our web page. By the way, our web page is lexingtonprosecutor.com. Our Facebook is Ray the DA, and I don't know what else we got.
You got Instagram?
Yeah, but I don't know.
Tweets?
Allison, what's the name of our Instagram?
Ray the DA Lex.
Ray the DA Lex, and Twitter is
Ray the DA.
hashtag Ray the DA. I've learned that term, hashtag. Sounds like something you eat. So, any rate, that's where we are on
Well,
this.
check out its criminal justice news and views, and a different perspective than you're going to see in a lot of other sources. It's all about the victims and catching the bad guys. We'll see you next week on In Touch.